Welcome to our Adapt to Impact office hour for this month. Our topic for this month is back to school routines. If you haven't attended in the past, here's a little bit about Adapt to Impact. We are a collaborative project between CU, CDE, and EI Colorado in order to provide a network of support for childcare providers who are working with children with delays and disabilities. We provide free online professional development, resources, and support, as well as access to a loan library of adaptive toys, equipment, and materials. And we have over 215 items in our loan library now and are adding more soon. So check it out if you haven't already. All right, so this slide has our team on it. The top row are coaches and specialists. We have Maureen, Krista, and Christina are all speech language pathologists. And I am Mariah. I'm an early childhood special educator. And then we also have running things on the back end. We have Marianne, Jackie, and Elijah who run our loan library communications and technical support. So back to school routines. Why do routines matter? They provide predictability and emotional safety. They support self-regulation and independence. They reduce anxiety during transitions, and they're especially critical for children with delays and disabilities. And you might think, like, why are they critical for children with delays and disabilities? For one, routines limit chaos. They provide opportunities to embed practice for skills you want them to develop. Repetition is especially important for helping them understand when they are supposed to join in and what they are supposed to do and say. Okay, so another discussion question for you. What is your favorite cozy corner item? Something that helps kids regulate or feel at ease. And you can also show and tell if you would like. I'll tell you some of mine. I love fidgets. You guys, I even use them. I have some on my desk. These are like magnetic fidgets. Also, like sand timers. If you've ever used a body sock, those are really fun to put in a cozy corner, or weighted items.
I like to have a notebook to draw and doodle. I'm a doodler, so there's markers, crayons somewhere usually near me, and a notebook that's with blank pages so I could just doodle.
Awesome. That's a great way to help focus. Perfect. Anybody else? Oh, we've got soft, cuddly things. Perfect. Yep, those are great. I know my kids really love stuffed animals, and those help them regroup too. Okay, so let's move on. What makes a routine supportive? Clear, consistent steps, visual cues and prompts, sensory-friendly elements, opportunities for choice and autonomy, and embedded social emotional supports. So let me give you an example of what this might look like. For example, if you're at circle time, you could use adaptive seating, a visual for steps of circle time, like starting with the same song every day. Depending on what you do at your circle time, you could keep all those steps exactly the same. So whether that's talking about the weather, the days of the week, then doing your book of the week, and that will help every child know what the expectation is, where they will sit, and what they are going to do. You could also add a visual timer so they know how much longer they will be there, which will also help keep you on track while you teach. So for discussion, what strategies have you guys used to make routines more predictable?
That I can think of right now in my classroom when I had a classroom would be what you just mentioned. It usually there was a schedule posted with the activities that would, you know, arrival, wash hands, uh sitting down and getting snack and kind of things so that and it was the same almost every day so that the
Mhm.
routine wasn't disrupted. The other thing is giving clues and prompts when we were going to transition from one thing to another, or if we were having a special thing that was once in a while, like somebody coming in to do a presentation or something, give cues and prompts for days before that event, not too in advance, because then they're wondering when is it happening and they keep asking you if they're coming that day, but a few
Yeah.
days in advance, just like two or three, so that they know that there's going to be a day where our normal routine will not be the same. I also tend to encourage providers and early child teachers to have that just because a child's not sitting in that circle time or is not doing that thing does not mean that they're not involved. They just might not be able to be in that. in that setting, that they're still paying attention and they might be just playing with the blocks over here on the corner. That's just how they're self-regulating to be able to interact the way I doodle. They might need to be doing something else to be able to self-regulate and be part of the activity, even though it doesn't look like that.
Those were a fabulous lead in to the next slide here. So we have common challenges for children with delays and disabilities, and so many of the things you just mentioned address these challenges. Like a lot of children struggle with difficulty with transitions or changes in routine, like you mentioned, sensory sensitivities to noise, light, or textures, communication barriers, motor planning or physical access issues, and emotional regulation struggles. So routines address these challenges by giving them predictability, helping address those sensory needs, help them regulate to be ready to learn, establish predictable patterns of language, which will help your children, well, all children, but especially those of you who work with English language learners as well. Um, okay, and then the next part, we'll talk about accommodations and modifications. And these are a lot of things Carmen mentioned, but using visual supports, sensory tools, environmental adjustments, language supports, and routine tweaks. And all of these accommodations will help all children in your programs, but especially those with delays and disabilities. And I want to give you a few examples of some of these. Like visual supports could be picture schedules, and that could be for your whole class of what you're doing for the day. Like Carmen mentioned, teaching the routine or what was going to happen that day, and then letting them know if there's a change to it. So I used a picture schedule for my classroom. Every day at circle time, we would go over it. And if there was anything new, I could put a new picture of whatever that change would be in the schedule, whether that was picture day or a fire drill or parents were coming. To help warn them when it was coming, but also help them understand or give them a sense of time too, like what comes first, then next. Um, Also, you could use first, then boards, timers. I liked to hold fingers up for countdowns before transitions. So I would count down from 5 and show them my fingers as I counted down so it would help prepare some of the kids who needed extra help. Sensory tools are things like fidgets, noise canceling headphones, and movement breaks. And we have a ton of tools in our new loan library, you guys, with all of these things: fidgets, noise canceling headphones, cards. They're called animal action cards. You can check out from our side library, and I will make sure you have the link to that. Also, so environmental adjustments are things like setting up quiet zones in your classrooms, allowing flexible seating, and reducing clutter, which will help for your kids who get easily distracted, know what to focus on or what content is the most important. Examples of language supports could be simple instructions. So instead of giving a long sentence like, first we're going to go have snack, and then we're going to go out to the playground, and then we're going to put our shoes on, and then, or like multi-steps in one, you can hold up fingers and say, first we're going to eat, second, shoes, or just to simplify language, so you don't lose kids who struggle with language processing or are your English language learners, or children who struggle with cognitive delays. Anyway, you could also add sign language and communication buttons. And then for routine tweaks, you can add extra time for transitions, or modify your routine to better fit the needs of kids in your program. Let's see. So embedding supports into routines. I just gave here a short, like modified classroom routine and then added ideas of where you could put some of these things in. So for arrival, when kids come to school, you could use a visual check-in. I've seen a lot of classrooms do uh, a picture system where kids will move their picture from home to school, and then when they leave, they can move their picture from school to home as a check-in, check-out, and that's something everyone can do, no matter their language abilities. Um, anyway, you could use a sensory bin to help kids regulate before sitting in circle time. You could use a common greeting on a communication button. Like every kid can push the button and say good morning or hello. And then common or some supports you could add to circle time would be things like adaptive seating, using a visual agenda or visual timer, and movement breaks. For snack, you can use adaptive utensils or social stories. And then I added a picture checkout, just like I mentioned, moving their pictures to check in, check out. But also, I really like visual schedules for steps for kids who get overwhelmed or have a hard time following directions. So, for example, if the direction is you need to get your coat, pack up your bag, and sing the goodbye song, you could put little icons or a strip with icons of like get bag, coat, shoes, goodbye song, just to simplify it and give them an image for each word you're telling them. Okay, so real life scenarios. I would love if you guys have stories to share, or any time, anything you guys are struggling with kids or supporting providers, um, on like success stories with modifying routines. I can get us started. I have a couple. I know, like, I had a student who had a cognitive delay who I was working with who had a really rough time with transitions. And he would have pretty epic meltdowns like after the first couple weeks of school, he was comfortable in the classroom, but transitioning out of the classroom was really hard for him, and it would derail him for a substantial part of the day. And I was working with an occupational therapist and a speech therapist who were pulling him to do therapies in an office to work one-on-one with him. But every time he was pulled, he would cry the whole way there, through the whole therapy session, and the whole way back. And we like, what can we do to help him? This is creating more angst than is necessary for this little guy. And so I asked the therapist to push into the classroom instead. And I set up their own area in the classroom with a little table and a bookshelf and a space for their materials so they could work with him in the classroom. And that eliminated that like extra non or less predictable transition for him. Another way, I've modified something that came up in my classroom. I had a student on the autism spectrum, and one time we had a fire drill, and he had a huge meltdown during the fire drill and refused to leave the classroom. He didn't understand what was going on. He also really liked to watch the lights from the fire alarm reflect against the walls in the classroom. And so it was a disaster. And so we ended up using a social story to explain fire drills. And so we created a little book that said, this is a fire drill. This is what we do. This is where we go. And every page in the social story just talked about like what you'll hear, what you'll see, what you do with your body. Um, and we read it many times before the next fire drill came up so that the next time he knew what he would hear, what he would see, what we do. And it made it just extra concrete for him. Oh, I can think of one more for you. I worked with a little guy who loved the block center and he never wanted to rotate centers. Um, but we used a visual support. It was a first then board, and we paired it with a visual timer. So he knew what was coming next and how much time he needed until he moved. And then also he got to choose um, like the other centers he would go to on for that first then board. So he got to move the icons of the different centers. So there was a little extra buy-in, and that helped him understand, blocks will still be here. We can do it again, but there are other options. And it helped him a lot and helped teach a little bit about flexibility too. We can move on. Okay, so this, especially all of you people who are supporting your ECCs, this is a huge resource. That's in addition to all those kits you guys were talking about. Um, We have a brand new loan library for you. And in it, I just put in some of the things I mentioned as tools being helpful for back to school or getting into new routines. We have, I love this Schedules magnetic schedule. Pieces are washable. I mean, you can stick them to a whiteboard. It also has a first then board on the back. You can prop it up. It's really cool. So that is in our library. We have many options for adaptive seating, but there's just this is the floor rocker, and then also there's a little wobble cushion on this screen. We have the Go Talk, and this is a sensory backpack full of different fidgets. So if you need tools for kids to keep their hands busy so they can sit and listen, this is a great tool to check out. And also the behavior and cognition kit as well. It has a lot of different sensory supports and examples of adaptive seating in it as well. So those are really great tools for providers. And I can show you how to access it. Okay, can you see my screen here with the Loan Library homepage?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is our sidelibrary.com. This is where you go to access these supports that I just showed you and many, many more. But if you want ideas of things to check out, there's this handy little icon or button for lists. So you can click that. And then I created a list for back to school supporting routines. Okay, and there are 24 different things on this list. So definitely not the entire contents of the library, but a great spot to get started for back to school tools. I have the tools to try self-regulation strategy cards, animal action cards, um, floor rocker, different timers. The liquid floor tiles I put on here, I love for teaching children, like if they're learning to wait in line or sit at a circle and they need to know where their body belongs. These are great tools for that. And they give them extra sensory support or like sensory input, which makes them extra fun. Noise canceling headphones. We have the pyramid model preschool classroom kit, sensory mats. Like if you have kids who are learning to sit at circle, you can put these on their seats. It gives them extra sensory input, or they can hold them in their hands as a fidget. Yeah, we have timers, all kinds of some great curriculum for problem solving and social emotional regulation. Let's see, weighted lap pad if kids need extra sensory input to help them sit or feel calm when they're sitting. Anyway, lots of cool things to try. Right, so I will switch back. Here we go. Okay, can you see the my PowerPoint again?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, perfect. All right. So those are some tools you can check out. If you don't have access to the library yet, there are a couple steps to follow. One would be to complete the Introduction to Universal Design course, and that would give you limited access to check out a few different things from the library. But for full access to the Loan Library, we would ask you to complete that course plus one other Adapting for Disability course, and that will allow you access to check out absolutely anything from our Loan Library. And the courses should be really helpful and talk about a lot of different topics that will help you as you work with little ones. Okay, and there's 5 different options for the Adapting for Disability series, so you can choose which one you're the most interested in. Okay. Also, if you need Loan Library support, we are here to help you. So if you haven't checked anything out yet, but you're interested, but don't know where to start, let us know. We can help you find ideas for checkouts, help you look for things that are specific to the needs of your program. Or if you have a child, like a new child who starts in your program, maybe on the autism spectrum, and you want to get supports in place to help that child be successful from the very beginning, our library is a great spot to start. Also, we are giving out free Stay Put mats from the lib as an incentive to check out things from our library right now. So this is a great time to check something out. You'll get one of these to keep for your program. And also, if you want to check out what a Stay Put mat is, you can go to this bit.ly link It's bit.ly/writecide, and there's a little demo video on how it's a really cool tool. And also, here are these courses I talked about to access the full loan library, but also the completing each of these courses will give you continuing ed credit. So you'll get a certificate of completion for each one. And we've had the introduction to universal design for a while, but all of these ones are new. Adapting for disability, behavior and cognition, communication and early literacy, fine motor, gross motor, and hearing and vision are all pretty new. So check those out if you have not, or if you are supporting providers who are in need of continuing ed credits, send them to PDIS and they can check out these courses. Okay, we also have a Google folder for you, and so if you're on our email list, you should be getting about an email a week from us about different tips or tricks, different resources, and all of those we have in PDFs in this Google folder. So you can check it out, and we're constantly adding new things to it. Or if we talk about different types of visuals or communication boards, we're putting those in there too. So it's a great toolbox for you guys to access at any time. And once again, you can follow the bit.ly at bit.ly/resources_adapt to access that. And then also the recording of this session we'll put on our YouTube channel and send the link in a follow-up email. But then also any links we've mentioned in this presentation, you'll be able to find in the notes on the YouTube video of this session as well. All right, and here's our contact information if you don't have it yet. Our website, bit.ly/adapt to impact. Our email, adaptcide@ucdenver.edu, and our phone is 303-315-1287. We also have new social media accounts. We'd love if you guys could follow. Our Facebook is Adapt to Impact, and our Instagram is at adapt2impact_CIDE. And if there are any topics you guys are interested in for future office hours, this is a great time to let us know. We want to customize our office hours to whatever the needs are in your programs. So if there's any challenges you're experiencing or anything, ideas for what you could use support with, definitely let us know. You could do that now. You could put it in the chat, or you could send an email too at any time. Any questions or comments? Well, thank you guys all for attending. And once again, I'll send you each a follow-up email from today, and we love your feedback. And then in the next couple of days, we'll send out a recording of today's session, so you are welcome to share it. And also all those links and resources we mentioned. Anyway, thank you guys so much.